We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. I know you're mad. I know you're upset. Oh, my God. Oh, my titty nipples hurt. I get it. You're mad. You're upset. Still a lot to play for. You might not believe it, but if you go out there Saturday as a 9-3 team and beat Georgia, you are going to feel much better than you feel right now. You can do it. You can beat Georgia. As crazy as you may think I am, as crazy as it might sound, you can beat Georgia. It is a very realistic thing. You got to believe. We'll talk on that LSU recap and preview. We will talk a lot of Texas A&M. Rewatch the film. We'll touch it. We'll address it. Things that got to get better. But we're going to get into Georgia. It is Georgia week. It is the SEC championship. Guys, you're playing for an SEC championship. If you think it's watered down, if you think there's nothing to build off of, then you're wrong. Then you're absolutely wrong. The take is horrifically bad if you believe that you have nothing to play for. If you know and I know that all of you that love LSU, love football, love sports will come in here and talk major trash to other teams if you go out there this weekend and you beat Georgia. You know that you will. So don't act like there's not a lot to play for. Win the SEC, win your conference. Build momentum going into next season. I see a lot of you that follow us. I see a lot of you on Twitter Spaces. I see a lot of you on Twitter. A lot of you saying, oh, no, LSU's going 9-5 now. They're going 9-5. What did you think after Florida State? You got to lock in. You got to focus because I promise you the game's going to be within 17 points. As the spread tells you. I don't think LSU is going to lose more than 17 points. I've been wrong before, but we'll see. Wasn't wrong a week ago today when I told you A&M had dudes up front. You ripped me in. You ripped me inside this thing, inside the chat. Let's see if you're going to rip me up again tonight. We talked about the first two. Carter Bryant joins us at 7:30 like he does every single Monday. We will review and preview with him as well, and we'll probably talk some SEC as we always do. And if you miss it, a lot going on. The transfer portal, guys already going into it. Luke Altmaier, guys at South Florida, a lot of individuals already hitting the portal, even though they technically can't until December the 5th, but announcing that they'll be entering the portal on December the 5th, which is very interesting. Some recruiting news today. A lot of people saying, oh, no, Jamar Cain can't recruit. Well, sometimes family comes above what LSU needs. Josh Mickens, I'm going to be as delicate as I can here. Josh Mickens decommitted from LSU because of family reasons. No other way around it. Darren Reed went to Auburn for other reasons. I will tell you this, as I've told you before under this staff, RELAX. Relax. It's going to be fine. They have a plan. There's probably some people that are already committed that you just don't even know about. We might touch on that as well. And Hugh Freeze has been hired as Auburn's new head coach. Interesting enough, I saw this tweet today. They hired a former Arkansas State head coach in Gus Malzahn. They also fired him. They also hired Brian Harsin, who was a former Arkansas State head coach, or not head coach, but coach. They hired and fired him. And they also have done that today by hiring Hugh Freeze. Small world it is. Small world it is. So Hugh Freeze is now back in the SEC. I'm not going to get into the debate with you. I'm not going to get back or in the debate with you in reference to sexual misconduct, what Hugh Freeze has and hasn't done, because I will tell you, as I've always told you, and like I told you during the Sharon Lewis investigation, due process. Due process. There are some unfounded claims at the current moment. Just because a victim says something doesn't always make it true. doesn't make it not true either. It may have happened. But I do believe that Auburn would have done their due diligence and research before hiring Hugh Freeze. So let's see. I'm not getting into that debate with you. I don't think you want it. I don't want to get into it with you. So if you want to have it, this isn't the place for you. I can promise you that this is not the place for you. But we got a lot to get into, so let's get to a couple of these comments. Andrew Paulsub Martin says, get ready for future Auburn head coach Butch Jones. Maybe. Could. I mean, they hire everybody at Arkansas State. Travis says, super excited of what they have accomplished this season, talking about LSU. Yeah, you got to forget a little bit sometimes about, look, you tripped up on a team that you have no business losing to, right? Now you go and play for the SEC title. You can think it's watered down. You can think that the SEC championship game's watered down. You're wrong. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, because I know every single one of you listening to us on XM Radio, tune in, podcast, watching us live right now, if LSU goes out there and takes care of business and wins, everything's going to be hunky-dory. And you're going to say, what could have been? Some of that's true. Some of it also is you might not have needed to be here. So Jason Brumfield says, as long as Jackson and Womack sign, I'm good with that. Well, Jackson Howard announced today that he's going to be signing, so there you go. He said December 21st, he's all LSU, so there you go. Kenny Fudge says, disappointed, yes, but this has been a good season. LSU has come a long way since last year. Absolutely. Cody McGee since $4.99 via Super Chase says, Blake, is Jane Daniels playing Saturday to him being in a walking boot? What bowl do you think we're going to if we lose to Georgia? If you lose to Georgia, you probably either go to Capital One or Citrus Bowl, and I think Jaden Daniels, they're going to do everything they can to get him to play because, I mean, listen, this is massive. Thank God it's a lower ankle sprain and not a high ankle sprain. How much can he tolerate the pain? We'll see. But he is in a walking boot. Adam sends us $13.99 in Canadian dollars. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Aaron says Citrus Bowl or Sugar Bowl. We'll know Saturday night. Yeah, we'll know Saturday night. Tyler says there's only so much a coach could say and do to have the team mentally ready for this game. Those boys have to have that let's go get shit done when they step out on the field. I agree with that. There's only so much Brian Kelly can do. There's only so much he can do. So you get to a situation, guys, if he wins on Saturday, you win a bowl game, you go 10-4, you go 11-3, whatever you may go. Guys, I mean, you all predicted and said that you wanted them to have 9 wins. Don't let the A&M loss cloud your judgment. And let me say this before we get all this stuff rolling. To every A&M fan, okay, congratulations, you won. Sounds good. Celebrating a season when your coach makes over $80 million guaranteed, when you're 5-7 beating LSU, is what losers do. Let me repeat that. Your coach is guaranteed $86 million in a buyout, and you're 5-7. Oh, we beat a top 5 team. Sounds good. Congratulations. Can't take it away from you. You celebrating that after getting your cheeks clapped by Appalachian State in week 3, you can do it, but that's not acceptable at places that goes to SEC championship games like we do. Hey, how many SEC titles have you been to? Oh, that's right. You haven't been to any because you suck. So you better start winning some fucking games before you come trolling. How about that one? Okay. You want to talk stuff, you better bring your lunch pail. Okay. Curtis Clark says, so Blake, did you really think LSU was going to make it to the SEC championship game? I didn't, so I'm excited. No, I did not have them going to the SEC title game. this year. No, I did not. I said, if you remember in preseason, I said 9-3 the ceiling, 7-5 the floor. They're 9-3. I didn't think Alabama would regress as bad as they did. I just didn't see that happening. I'm okay with 9-3. But I will tell you why you should be patient. The first thing we're going to talk about as soon as we get out of this break, there's a scenario that's playing out right now in front of everybody's eyes that no one wants to talk about because a lot of people were wrong about it. We'll address it when we return. And why sometimes, guys, you just got to be patient. Sometimes you got to go through growing pains. I think LSU can go out there and give Georgia a game. I really believe it. I really believe it. The film dictates it as well. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Everybody do us a favor by hitting like and share. Share to all of your Facebook groups. So many of you joining us live right now on Facebook. Do us a favor. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Hit the like and share. All those Facebook groups everywhere on your social media pages as well. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell. So close to getting to those 5K subscribers. We're already past the 12th, or right at the 12,000 mark on Facebook. Get us to 5,000 on YouTube. And everyone listening to XM Radio, TuneIn app, or you're listening anywhere you listen to podcasts, rate, review, subscribe as well. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let's do this. Let's pay these bills, and then we'll be right back. But let me talk about my good friends over at Synergy Resources. Synergy, RESLLC.net. We are happy to announce our partnership with them, your hydraulic and industrial hose connection team. Hoses, fittings, pipes, they do it all. Give them a call today at 337-552-1919. That's 337-552-1919. And ask for our good friend Tully over at Synergy Resources, LLC. All right. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Barnard & Sons. We return in 1 minute. I'm going to give you a scenario that not a lot of people are talking about, but why you got to be patient and why LSU just might upset Georgia this Saturday. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Barnard & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Barnard & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, so here's the scenario. So everybody do us a favor by hitting like and share. Stop right now, hit the like and share. You know what's funny, guys? Pooh Bear and Zach joining us, our producers. You know what's funny is in sports, we can and have and do get to a point where we're a little impatient, right? You don't like to hear it. It sucks. Guys, I'll tell you. Sunday, there wasn't a lot of I wasn't getting on Twitter or social media doing a whole lot because, look, losing when you have everything to play in front of you sucks. It sucks. If you're a fan of a team and you really love that team, enjoy covering them, enjoy watching them, enjoy going to the games, being a part of it, it sucks when they lose and they have so much ahead of them. I get you. I understand you. There's two parts of the coin. Saturday night was what it was. If you want to hear our instant reaction, go to our YouTube channel, Watch the post-game show. You'll get the instant reaction. Time to move forward. But what's interesting about sports is this. Is sometimes we are so quick and so easy to want to either fire somebody or push somebody out. We're so quick to say, oh, there's nothing left to play for, nothing left to live for. That's a loser's mentality. That's a quitter's mentality. Now, I don't know the household that you grow up in, but let me tell you a little something about the household that I grew up in. We don't quit. We don't quit. When it comes to playing on the field, I will give, there was one time I'll never forget, Little League Baseball was not going well for my fat ass. I'll just be honest. Okay, 9 and 10-year-olds wasn't going well, wanted to quit. I told my mom, this isn't going well. I want to stick to football. It's just not going well for me. I mean, the coach literally came up to me in the preseason and said, listen, my son plays third base. You're going to play right field and center bench because I don't think you're really any good. Well, his son got cut from 3 high school baseball teams when he would go on to high school. I didn't. I told my mom I wanted to quit. She wouldn't let me. Sports teaches you things. It teaches you adversity. It teaches you to move forward through things. We've all gone through this thing. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, for crying out loud. Sometimes you got to go through growing pains in sports to get to where you ultimately want to go. You know what's interesting is Saturday at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m., Michigan teed up against Ohio State. I'm old enough to remember 3 seasons ago, people wanted Jim Harbaugh fired from Michigan. He can't beat Ohio State. He can't do it. Well, he changed some things. He got his feet under him. What good coaches do, what good fan bases do. Be patient. Don't overreact. Let them get their feet settled. Now Jim Harbaugh is 24-2 in the last 2 seasons and is literally 3 games away from winning a national title. Will they do it? I have no idea. But they played really good on Saturday, didn't they? My point in what this revolves to LSU is this. You got to give Brian Kelly time. You got to give this team time. I don't really care what Lincoln Riley's doing out in the weak-ass Pac-12. Are they going to beat Utah this weekend? Who knows? Who knows? Utah's already beat them once. My point is that we build this up because we are so eager and want so much to win at a high level, in which LSU should win at a high level. You pay someone $100 million to come to your program and win, you expect greatness. And I'm with you. Guys, none of you saw this happening. None of you predicted, and a very few of you truly predicted that you would be here. Now, we will preview this game. We will recap last week, things that LSU's got to get better at. The one thing that I'm really, really happy about this team is they do fight their asses off. Jane Daniels fumbles a zone read, makes a wrong read, scoop and score from A&M touchdown. They never really quit. Say that he didn't do things right, you're right. Did he miss receivers down the field? Yes. Did he make wrong reads? Yes. Is he gonna let me phrase this in a way? I'm just throwing this out there. If he comes back, if hear the word if he comes back, will he get better? Yes. Growing pains and how people learn is different for everybody. And I'm not going to write off this season, nor should you, because, oh no, they lost to Texas 5-7. It's not going to work. And it shouldn't work. That team's not going to a bowl game. You're going to an SEC title game. There's levels to this shit, man. Because what will and probably is going to happen is LSU's only going to climb up. They're only going to get better. Under the leadership of a guy like Brian Kelly, with the assistants that he has, they're only going to get better. They're not going to continue to regress. He's building that culture. He told them on Monday, and verbatim, he told his team on Monday, and I'm damn near accurate when I say this because I wrote it down in the notes. If you think you can just waltz into Texas A&M and win, you're wrong. He didn't lie. You can't do that in this league. Now, how does a young team respond? You got a whole bunch of new players out there. Were they looking ahead? Were the young guys looking ahead? Maybe. Who cares? But now the roles literally reverse. Now, if some of you say LSU's playing with house money, so was A&M last week. It's nothing to lose. So what? You go to a Sugar Bowl, you go to a Citrus Bowl. Really and truthfully, at the grand scheme of things, yeah, would you like to win a Sugar Bowl? Would it be great and a feather in your cap? Sure. It'd be great. It would be great. Going out there against Georgia, even in a loss, coming out and swinging in that son of a bitch is what I want to see. I really don't care if LSU loses Saturday. Do I think you can win? Yes. Do I think it's going to be closer than 17.5 points? Yes. Do I think Stetson Bennett's a little bit flawed sometimes? Yes. Do I think that their running game can be flawed? Yes. Do I think A&M's got really talented dudes up front? Go see the show from a week ago. They got a lot of great talent on Texas A&M's front seven and offensive line. I even said that I thought their offensive line played like crap throughout the season, and they did. Doesn't mean they don't have talent there. Demont, or whatever his first name is, A-Chain, went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on you. Now you got to respond. Here's the truth. If you're a coach or you're a player on that team, here's the truth. It's time to fucking fight now. Go out swinging. Go out on your sword. The same preparation, the same things that you were doing against Alabama week. Nobody missing a class. Nobody missing an exam. Nobody missing on the questionnaires that Brian Kelly hands out on Monday. You can go out there and change the course of what LSU will be for the forever. You know what's interesting is that everybody talks about under Nick Saban the 2003 national title, but you know what everybody else really mentions as the turning point and the team that did everything the right way to get LSU where they ultimately would go? 2001 LSU. Because in 2001, you went up against a team in Tennessee. You're coming off some pretty bad losses throughout the season. You're going up against Tennessee in the Dome. Backup quarterback. Does this sound a little bit familiar? Backup quarterback's got to come in, and you win. It would send LSU into a realm that they've never been in. You would know it as the last 20 years. Everyone will remember the sacrifices that you make by going out there and swinging against a giant that no one believes can be slain. Go back and read some of the old clippings from 2001 Tennessee. I found one. You ready? This is from, I guess, a beat writer. I don't know. It didn't really have the name in there. But here's just an article that I clipped. Here's something that someone said about the 2001 Tennessee team. You ready for it? The best team in a decade. Can't be stopped. The only team that can bring down someone like Miami is this Tennessee team. They're great up front. They're great in the secondary. They run the ball very well. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound remotely familiar? Ben, go see your mom. Does it sound remotely familiar? Because if it does, and when it does, do you think that team in 2001 had something to prove? Now, it's a little bit different because you have the playoff now. LSU was fighting for a playoff spot. But I will tell you this, and we will preview this shit all week. All week, we will be talking about this. Georgia's beatable. I don't care what you think. The film don't lie. There's no reason on God's green planet why Georgia Tech should be able to get the edge against Georgia. over and over and over and over again. Got to get the eye of the tiger back. You got to get the eye of the tiger back. Look, the person that they will go up against, the man across from them, they put on their pants the same way you do. Go knock them in the fucking face. Punch them in the fucking mouth. That is the mentality that you have to go out there and win the SEC. Do you want to change the course of what LSU is and will be for the next 20 years? You go out there and lay everything on the line. And if you lose, there's nothing to be ashamed about. The same feeling that you had Saturday night will be erased if you go out there and you lay on your sword. Burn the ships. Burn the ships. You'll hear me say it. I've said it before. Light them son of a guns on fire. Pour gasoline on it. There's no way back. All right. Couple comments before Carter Bryant gets here. But it's the truth. Burn your ships. And you know what? To the fans, let me say this to the fans. And people, for whatever reason this week, said we weren't credentialed. I'll have to pull it up. We are. Sucks for you. But here's the thing. To the fans, you got to support them and give them the assistance they need. Going on Twitter and saying, I just sold my SEC tickets. This team sucks. 4 weeks ago when they played Alabama, you wanted to beat off every single one of them. No pause, boo. No pause. At some point, you got to have a little bit of loyalty. All right. Dane Bergeron said, sends us $10 via Super Chat. Thank you so much. He said, I said last week on here, LSU could beat Georgia. JD needs to be able to stretch the field on defense. He's got to. He's got to. We'll talk about the keys to victory on Thursday. He's got to, which, by the way, will be the 600th episode. And defense has to blanket the tight end. Hey, you know what? I agree with you. And Stetson Bennett beat you. Reverse the roles. They should have let Connor Weigman, Heigman, whatever his name is, they should have let him beat him. They didn't. They didn't. 6 men in the box won't work. Kenny says, last Saturday's loss to A&M reminds me of the 2001 loss to Ole Miss. Sounds interesting. Parallels any? Look, college football repeats itself. It repeats itself. Anybody want a 3-year-old? John says, Blake, love my Tigers. Heading to Atlanta, the only disappointment for me is JD5 seems reluctant to throw down the middle. He's got to let it hang. Let your chain hang low. Let it wobble to the flow. Is it bright? Is it shiny? Is it platinum? Is it gold? Does your chain hang low? Let it hang. Let it hang. Look who's back. Lawrence Collinville says Stetson Bennett ain't it. Well, shit, he got back to 2 back-to-back playoff appearances. The hell he ain't. You got to battle. You got to battle. Don't get it twisted. All right. Let's get to our good buddy Carter, the Power Bryant. Talk to him next. Preview Georgia. We'll talk a little A&M. I mean, we won't stay on that long, even if we even talk about it. But let's preview some Georgia. It's SEC Championship week. Let's talk about our good friends Carol Foss over at State Farm. We return in 45 seconds with the GOAT, Carter the Power. Next. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. If a loss to Texas A&M meant you beat Georgia in the SEC title game and you're the SEC champ, would you take it?
Yeah, and I think, Blake, a big thing about us beating Georgia would be the loss versus Texas A&M, right? There is nothing that just jolts a team than a loss. And I know you have sources and you speak to very powerful people in the program.
Don't put that on me because they'll rip me alive on Twitter, but it's true. But anyway.
Yeah, and I do occasionally as well, and this team is still together. They are still very proud of what they accomplish. We can look at this in a very nuanced way that, yes, Saturday did cost LSU a potential chance to win and go to the college football playoff. It just did. But you can also make the case that a loss oftentimes makes you reflect on what you need to do to win football games in the long term. And I think that's what Brian Kelly and this coaching staff is going to do as they get ready for by far the best team on our schedule.
I will say this. I think that Georgia's beatable. I don't think that they're the boogeyman. You know, I really don't. And, you know, if Les were coaching this team, if Ed were coaching this team, yes, they would be the boogeyman, okay? With Kelly, with Denbrock, with House, I know a lot of people don't like them right now, but I still think that they can scheme up enough to beat them. Now, Carter, now listen, you know that I do this. We've talked about this at length. Sundays after the Saints game or before it, regardless, whenever they play, I watch some all 22 copies I get from the opposing team. Every single team has success on Georgia getting the ball outside. It is the only thing really that works. You know what else works? Their DBs get burnt a lot. And if you're able to connect deep, if Jaden can let that thing go and let that thing hang like he didn't a week ago, they can beat him. Keely Ringo is not as what everybody thinks he is.
He's not.
He's just not. Carter, I've seen Georgia take body blows from Tech, Missouri, Kentucky, and others, even Florida, okay? Give them some body blows. You got to just put it all together. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, you can get vertical on them. Kirby's defenses, you can get vertical.
You can get vertical like LeBron. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Or Zion.
And Tennessee missed a few shots in their matchup that would have dramatically altered that game that they played. Obviously, we're not Tennessee. Obviously, Jaden is not an hooker. But if you hit them, if they're there, you can win the game. Now, that kind of goes along with what went wrong versus Texas A&M, Blake. And that was a game in which LSU's defense had objectively their worst game of the season. Honestly, it was their only bad game that they've had all year. Now, they've had bad spots. They were in bad spots versus Tennessee. Tennessee has lit up everybody. Alabama, they had some bad spots, but they also defended Bryce as well as anybody really has this year.
I would say, too, Florida. I mean,
yeah.
Florida put it on them, too, now.
Yes. So let's take the Florida game where they didn't play their absolute best game. The LSU offense bailed us out, right? And this was another opportunity versus Texas A&M where the LSU offense had a chance to bail out a defensive performance that was uncharacteristic of LSU's defense, right? I do think Georgia's going to be able to move the football some on us. I don't think that they're going to light us up per se, but it's going to take Jaden and this offense, like you said, Blake, to hit some of these deep passes. And some of them were there versus Texas A&M. So if Jaden is able to do it, if he's able to rip it, he is going to obviously lead us to potentially one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen in the SEC championship game.
If it was his left ankle, I would worry more. If it was his left ankle, I would worry more. If it was what he would take the step on to force the hip thrust, I would worry about it a little bit more. I know he's in a walking boot. I've been told he's gonna. I mean, Carter, they're not going to be able to keep him out of the game. Regardless of how much he plays, is irrelevant to the point of they're not going to keep him out.
Right.
Well,
and
Carter, the biggest thing for me, this, last week versus this week, and while a lot of fans will, just say, oh, it ain't going to happen. We got physically destroyed up front on both lines of scrimmage. I know that A-Chain made some right reads. You didn't get a push. Our D-line got clapped. Bottom line, they ran for almost 300 yards against us.
Right.
You got physically beat.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. And honestly, Georgia's going to try and do the same thing. Their running backs are
run it right at you. And Carter, it could be to their detriment if LSU gets things rolling.
Right.
Offensively.
Yeah. And look, A&M did a lot of bounce reads, right? They did a really good job of reading our defense. And, that was, even in the Florida game, there were some stops, right? It just seemed like the Texas A&M offense was unstoppable, right? And look, there were some drops offensively that have nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. There was some protection issues that has nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. One thing I took away, Blake, that was a huge takeaway in Jaden's defense, to praise him here. He called a lot of protection calls that were right. And that was really, really, really impressive.
To stop you, in which he changed the call, for, at least in what I viewed as, and changing the call from Charles Turner.
Yeah. I felt that way too. Felt that way too. And that showed me, Jaden has amazing football IQ and he has amazing tenacity. He's just got to be able to rip it. He's just got to say, look,
he's kind of sometimes too smart for his own good. Do you believe that? Yeah.
And look, I'll say this in defense of Jaden as well. This is a guy who, it plays through a lot. Like, he plays through a lot of these hits. And I do agree he will be out there on Saturday. Now, one thing I will say, Blake, is let's say both of the hits where he came up hurt, right? Both were hits that could have been throws, right? The 2-point conversion should have been thrown a little bit earlier. And the rollout to the left, it would have been a tough throw, but Dre did peel off, and he did. If he kept his eyes downfield, would have been able to throw it to him. Even though he was rolling out to his left, it would have been a tough throw, but it was doable, right? So, Jaden has taken some hits this year, Blake, that did not need to be taken. And at some point, if you start taking some needless hits when they should be throws, you will at some point probably get dinged up some. So if he's fully healthy, ready to go, and is ripping it on Saturday, anything can happen. And there's something about a loss that just snaps into a quarterback's mind that says, look, I can't just run around. I've got to be able to make some of these throws. And, someone mentioned earlier, coming off a loss after the Tennessee game was a Florida game, and he'd made those throws. And they weren't the prettiest at all the times, but he made them, right? And, I don't know what actually went into the Texas A&M game. I just think, the environment and some of the protection problems caused him to not actually rip it. And I hope we see that on Saturday, because if we do, this game is winnable. It's going to be tough, but it is winnable.
All right, last thing on A&M, we'll preview more Georgia. Carter, I don't understand for the life of me. Now, some people try to argue me this when it was in the fourth quarter and LSU tried to put more people in the box. Carter, for 2.5 quarters, they were leaving 6 dudes in the box.
Right.
I mean, there is no defense for that. They threw the ball 15 times. 15 times. 15 times. Let me say it. 15. They ran that bitch 50.
I know.
At some point, you got to let Connor Weigman beat you.
Yeah. And there was a lot of things I would have done differently, Blake. I would have shown some different looks like we did versus Ole Miss. We radically changed some of the defensive fronts that we showed in that game.
Right at them. I mean, do you remember an edge blitz at all?
No. On both sides, it wasn't House's or Denbrock's best game. It just wasn't.
Hell no.
And,
It was their
and
worst game.
yeah, I really do think it was House's worst game. But this is where I will defend House, right? He has won us more games than he has lost us. And that is really impressive for a first-year DC who's not been in DC in 5 years, who was deservingly a Broyles finalist. So, I was really, really shocked at LSU's defense. I really, really was. But once again, there's something about a loss, man. It could get you back focused and ready to go. And the truth is, even though Georgia is a lock to go into the playoff and we're not, it's the weirdest SEC championship game we've had in quite some time. I really do feel LSU is in a spot where they could pull a massive upset here.
All right, last one. I lied. Everybody keeps telling me I'm crazy about the Jayden Daniels fumble. You're down 7. I get a scoop and score is a big deal. Like, I get it, and I get momentum shifted. You've come out of those situations all season long. You went 99 yards, and a bitch ain't won, and you scored and missed an extra point. I don't want to hear that, momentum and because you're putting too much on Jayden Daniels and not enough on the defense, giving up damn near 300 yards rushing. Zach, the reason I say that is because Zach brought it up. You're down 7.
Right.
Carter, you're down 7.
So I agree with you. The defense deserved a lot of the credit or a lot of the blame for what happened, especially, the standard that they had set. Where I would disagree, though, is on the following drive. Okay. So here's another example of this, right? It was, so we're down 7, we're driving. They called a very iffy holding call on Emory Jones, right? That would have been a first down. I didn't like the holding call. It was ticky-tack. I know you're an offensive lineman, Blake. You'll agree with me on that shouldn't have been a hold.
It was extremely ticky-tack. Here's the truth, though. You can't wrap an arm. Okay?
Yeah, you can. And
they will throw it every time when you wrap an arm. So
especially on the road. So I also say this, LSU did not get the 50-50 calls versus Texas A&M really at all in this game. Now, what I will say is this, Blake, on the following play, it was a 3rd and 16. Jayden had a few open receivers and he missed them. Now, if you're a championship team and you have a championship quarterback, that throw in that spot is so big. It is so big. Now, that would have swung all the momentum back in LSU's favor if you're a true believer in momentum. So, I feel as if you look at the LSU offense as a whole, they have had 2 games this year, Blake, versus Power 5 teams where they have had 6 yards per play or more, okay? And I talk about this on my channel all the time, the 6.2 yard per play threshold. We're nowhere near it. So
correct.
What I will say is this, and this is where people just melt down over quarterback discourse, Jayden Daniels discourse, and whichever quarterback exists, whether it be Jayden or Tua versus Burrow versus Herbert at the next level. Okay. You've got to look at it from a nuanced, point of view, right? Jayden Daniels is a really good quarterback who sets an extremely high floor for your teams with his leadership, with his grittiness, with his ridiculous ability to run. But our offense this year has not been good enough in the explosive play category.
We have not.
Big time throw category, in the yard per play category. We are not near the 6.2 yard per play threshold, which is a very important number. Now, it's not a number that you absolutely have to hit, but you would like to have 6 yard per play games in more Power 5 games than not. And we just haven't. Now, that doesn't mean the LSU offense is bad. That doesn't mean there haven't been some ridiculous finds in this offense, whether it be Emory Jones or Josh Williams or Charles Turner or whoever it may be. But the LSU offense has not been nearly as good as the LSU defense. And that is a problem in a sport that is an offensive game. So, I do wish at times there was a little, and let me just, use a comparison here. I wish Florida fans wished Anthony Richardson was a little bit more like Jaden Daniels, and I wish LSU fans would think Jaden Daniels was a little bit more like Anthony Richardson.
Anthony
Okay?
Richardson gonna throw that bitch whether you like it or not. he
He is-
don't give a shit. He
And-
gonna rip that thing, Carter. It's just the truth.
And he commits a lot of turnovers. He has a bunch of amazing runs, but he is very wildly inconsistent with his accuracy.
Agreed.
And Jaden's the opposite, right? He doesn't rip it, but he keeps you in a lot of games, right? If you were to mesh both of those two together, you would have a perfect quarterback, if you will. And that is, part of why
Kind
Jaden
of like Steven Urkel, Stefan or Cal. Like could they be Stefan or Cal?
I didn't think it. That's why I love you so much. But yeah, and in this game, I do think we'll have a few opportunities to get over the top of Georgia because we have the guys on the outside to be able to do it. I also think something else, Blake, that was huge versus Texas A&M was Malik was freaking incredible in that game.
Insane.
He was truly an alpha. And the reason why that's important is his last two road games were bad. Auburn and Arkansas. Florida was fine, but Auburn and Arkansas were just not good games for him. And he looked like a true freaking, not as good as Jamar Chase, but he looked like the dude. He looked like he was a guy
he's your number one. Let's just call him what he is. He's your number one.
And that was, and I know he's been good all year, but he did some real, I'm the mother effing guy kind of things in that game. And that makes me really excited going into this Georgia game this weekend.
See, here's why there are some things I just don't freak out about. Here's why. Here's that following drive. You ready? Emory goes for 8. Kane goes for 3. He goes for 4. Neighbors, remember on the quick hitch where he just strips the ball away from the defender. Kane goes for 3 and a first down. Lacey gets 8 and then gets hurt. Kane goes for 4. Jaden Daniels gets the ball. I starred this one. Takes this. This is what I write down. Takes a snap, runs for his life, throws it out of bounds. Jaden Daniels runs 11 yards, gets the first down. On third down, they get the holding, goes back to 3rd and 16, and then you got to throw it away, and then you got to punt. My thing is that they responded really well to his fumble. Okay, the team responded. The O-line responded. Carter, 8-3-4, 8-3-4 in rushes. And then they ran for 11. They got called back on a holding. My point is I think that sometimes you get really bad luck with young dudes.
Yeah.
And you can't overcome them. That's why you get beat. I want to ask you this because we had this and I missed it in the chat. What's the reason for the 2-point conversion? I know Brian Kelly said analytically, if you're down 13, you have better chances to win because you could kick 2 field goals and get a touchdown. I mean, it really didn't. See, I didn't overreact to the 2-point conversion because you're still down 2 scores.
Yeah.
Like you can go down, get a touchdown, kick the field goal. You could score again because the truth is, Carter, even if they don't go for 2 and kick the field goal, I mean, is he going to go for it 2 again? I mean, I don't think it was as big of a deal as some people made it out to be, in my opinion. Do you?
It wasn't. I mean, other than, people made it a big deal that Jaden got hurt on the play. I think that's
a big deal.
Yeah. And Jaden wouldn't get hurt if he would have top shelved it to Kayshawn in the back of the end zone. It was a tough throw. It's a tough read, but
they just don't have a connection.
Yeah, it is what it is at this point. So let's talk about these 4th down 2-point conversion decisions. Brian Kelly has been excellent with it. He has gone against the math in a lot of big spots. Okay, so let's say the Arkansas game, 4th and 1 decision. You're supposed to go for it. The math is overwhelmingly in your favor to go for it. He made the right decision to go against that and punt and let Harold Perkins decide the game, which he did. So that was excellent coaching. It really was.
Like of experience, Carter. I mean,
Yeah. So BK's been really good with 4th down decisions, right? The 4th and 2 decision to kick the field goal after the Kyron Lacey drop was a good decision, even though the math tells you there to go for it as well. That right there was the ultimate momentum kind of play, because that drop was so demoralizing. You don't want to go for it right after, because the team just deflated after that, right? That was a right decision to kick the field goal, even though the math would tell you there to go for it. Now, the 2-point conversion try, you are supposed to go for two when you go, if you're down 2 scores and you score a touchdown to go down 8. That's when you are supposed to go for two, because a touchdown and an extra point wins you the game in regulation. If you don't get it, you can still score a touchdown and go for two and go into overtime, right? The math is actually kind of simple, but kind of complicated. But if you are down 3 scores, I think you do just kick the extra point in that spot. I mean, I understand going for two, but I do agree with you, Blake. It's not a big decision. It's not a big deal because we were down by so many in that point of the game anyway.
Yeah, and you couldn't stop them. You got to get something going. All right, Carter, moving on to Georgia. I know that, you've watched a lot of them. What is their biggest weakness?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a big Kelee Ringo guy. I think,
he's too handsy. I'm going to throw this out here. You ready?
Yeah.
Malik's going to eat him up.
I think so.
Malik's going to eat him up. I'm telling you.
I know we're going to, if Ringo
I'll
comes
take the loss if I'm wrong there.
I would too. I've seen Ringo get exposed.
Georgia Tech went right at him. Carter, did you know of 11 throws for Georgia Tech, they threw at him 7 times?
That, and he is a big play corner. Think Trevon Diggs, right?
Either it's gonna go really well or shit's gonna go really bad. Either one is good with Kirby if it's a pick.
Like he's a really good player. He has, the single digit number. He's got the smile. He's got the look. He's got one of the most iconic plays in college football playoff history, the interception. I think we can get behind them. I've seen Chris Smith, their safety, who's a really good player, also get beat over the top. But Blake, where this game is going to be won and lost is the trenches. I am going to be very interested. This is going to be a big decision by Brad Davis and Brian Kelly and the staff. Do you play Dellinger over Frazier?
No.
If you,
Carter, he got clapped. He's too hurt to go. No. Or do you agree with that? Because the film that I watched, he didn't do so hot.
There are some good and some bad, but I've also seen Frazier have some good and some bad as well.
Agreed.
It's going to be tough, what they actually decide to do, at that spot, because Jalen Carter's better than everybody we've played, and McKinley Jackson had the best defensive tackle performance against us.
More so Walter Nolan.
And Walter Nolan.
Carter, let me ask you this. I subscribe to this. Okay. I said it on Monday and took a beating for it. There's not 2 better interior defensive linemen you will face, 2 on the same team in the country better than Jackson and Walter Nolan. There isn't.
They're good. And I honestly, Florida State's opening duo had a lot of success versus us as well. We've played some really good ones. So to your point, we have. And Jalen Carter is going to be a top 10 pick for a reason. He is truly,
insane.
truly special. And he's had some injury issues, but he's going to be locked in. He's an animal. It's going to be tough. I do think that, obviously last year's Georgia defense was better than this one. I think something else that's going to be very key for the LSU defense next week is Stetson Bennett is a runner. And Connor Weidman made some big plays with his legs versus Georgia, versus us last week. So how do we defend, a dual threat quarterback like Stetson, who has had some ridiculous runs in big spots for them this year? So obviously I know everyone's familiar with Washington and Bowers, their tight ends, and McConkey and their receivers. But Stetson Bennett's a playmaker, but he's been a little stale lately throwing the football, and their offense hasn't been at their absolute peak as of late. So hopefully LSU's defense will have a better answer for some of the power running schemes that they're going to run on us, and and hopefully we'll be ready to go.
So look, I'm going to say this. I would stack the box and make Stetson beat me.
Agreed.
I can't. I can live with 5'9", 5'10" Stetson Bennett carving me up through the air. I can live with it. What I'm not going to be able to live with is if you have back-to-back weeks where you let teams run all over you. I get that Mekhi Garner has struggled in man-to-man coverage. I get it. You're going to have to find a way to help him get some help because you're going to need to stack the box and let Stetson beat you. You're going to have to find a way to stop Bowers in Washington. I get it. Don't let them running the football beat you. Okay? If other dudes beat you, so be it. But don't let them run it down your throat. Don't do it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's the only way you can do it. It's the only way you can beat them. Defensive.
And one extra little thing here, Blake, is, man, to win these big games, you've got to be sharp on special teams. You just do. And, this year, I think this year let us fully appreciate how important Avery Atkins was to our team over the past few years. Because we've kicked a few out of bounds this year. That's huge, right? It's just an automatic. You get the ball at the 35-yard line. It's just demoralizing, if you will. It's something. Hey, look, you got a true freshman kickoff specialist. It's tough. But man, special teams is going to be so big. McConkey is a really good punt returner. He's got amazing speed, and that it's Ramos and those guys are just going to be huge for us this coming weekend. So all three phases.
I call him a honky.
Lad, man, what a frat name. He can ball. And he was big versus Alabama in the spot last year. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game, but I'm excited, man. If people are going, hit me up, man.
You'll be there.
I'll be there. All systems go. At this point, I think it's still going. Yeah. So unless something dramatically happens, hit me up, and hopefully, Blake, we'll be celebrating one of the biggest upsets.
Hey, well, look, people are upset, and I get it. It takes a couple days to come off of it. But I will wrap it up with you on this on LSU. Then I want to touch just a little bit on SEC with you.
Yeah.
Carter, they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
They're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And it sucks because you had a chance to make the playoff. Okay. You're going to have other chances to make it. Okay. You can't replace it being that close, but you'll have other chances. All right. Let me ask you this. It's not a frost. It's a freeze. At Alabama. Look, the Auburn administration is getting absolutely torn to pieces behind this hire. I guess when you see the freeze coming back down south, we got a cold front coming. What do you think?
Man,
Carter, he coached the game from a freaking hospital bed.
Man, I'll say this, man, and look, we can get into a morality debate all we want, but man, I can't do the Hugh Freeze thing. I just can't. Like if I was an Auburn fan, he's just not the kind of person that I like to be around. Right? His personality can, and look, I know Brian Kelly can be cringy, but he is aware of his cringiness, right?
He's not prostitute cringy.
Yeah, right. Like it's right. and trust me, everybody. Let's be honest. We can get into a conversation about morality with a lot of different coaches.
If you want to, I'll open it up to you. I'm not going to touch it, but if you want to, feel free on this platform to do so.
No, like look, Hugh Freeze is a very special coach in terms of optimizing the quarterback position and, out scheming opponents and all those things. I just think that there was better options. I really do think that there was a lot of different directions they could go. And I do find it a little rich that, they tried the Brian Harsin thing because there was infidelity here, and then Hugh Freeze has a history of infidelity. It seems a little hypocritical to me.
So wild.
And look, I had Auburn fans breathing down my neck on my SEC channel about my love for Gus Malzahn. But if you go look at Hugh Freeze and Gus Malzahn's record, they are the exact same. The exact same. And
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
It's near identical what those guys have accomplished. So, I think Auburn was set back by the Brian Harsin thing. Do I think Hugh Freeze can win big at Auburn? Yeah, I think he can. But it's not something that I am too worried about, right? Lane Kiffin at Auburn would have worried me. But Hugh Freeze just doesn't scare me. He just doesn't. I don't know if he does you. But yeah, talent wise, he's obviously an unbelievably talented coach. He's beaten Alabama a few times, and all the power to him. But man, I truly do believe that there was some other guys out there. I freaking would have called Shane Beamer, right? I know he's in his home state of South Carolina. I know he has heavy South Carolina ties.
Cockfimber. No pause.
Man, look, I was
There's
dead.
not a hotter team in the country.
There's not. I was dead set, Blake, on Brian Kelly Coach of the Year, and there's not anyone close to him. Heupel maybe, Kirby maybe, but BK was my Coach of the Year by a wide margin. And then Josh Heupel, looking at that roster, ending the season, beating the teams that he beat. There are teams that are going to make the college football playoff that don't have two better wins than South Carolina's had in the past 2 weeks. I'm truly amazed at what Shane Beamer's done over the past couple of seasons in a very difficult place to win, where there's still a lot of pressure to win. There's a lot of fans that love South Carolina football. And Blake, you've done you when I do radio in South Carolina, I always have you on as a guest. You feel that passion, man. Those people love their cocks. They do, man. No pause, man. They love it. South Carolina, man. And I know.
Of all the people I've had on this channel, you were the last person I expected to say that.
I'm no filter, man. I know T. Craig Schilling is going to meme the heck out of
They love the big meaty ones.
Dude, man, I'm telling you, I really do mean this. They have the best stadium, and I've never been, but just by judging the pictures and the social media and all of it, those fans are the freaking best in the SEC for this reason. They've never won anything.
And honestly, they always come back.
And they all, dude, I'm telling you, those fans love their Gamecocks. But man, I if I was Auburn, I would have gone to Shane Beamer and said, look, be our guy. I really do think Shane is special. I really, really do. And I felt that way before these final few weeks. That roster is not great. And he's turned Spencer Rattler's season around. He has turned his draft stock around. And man, Beamer ball. Let's get it.
Matt Rule, very quickly, we'll get you out of here. Matt Rule, thoughts? I hate it.
I
hate it. I think it's so. I think it's a horrible hire. I could be wrong, and I'll take the licking on that. He might win 10 games. He might get them to a conference championship game. He's never sustained anywhere. Overall, as a head coach in his career, over all of them, all stops, he's a loser. Okay, so.
Yeah, and I agree with Ant's comment here, and Nebraska's fans are a lot like South Carolina's fans. At least they've won something all the way back in yesteryear, right? First off, kudos to while we're on the topic, Mickey Joseph and Trey Palmer for the success they had this past year.
Trey Palmer went off 74 catches, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns,
and Alex Adams leading the MAC in receiving. That was nuts. But yeah, shout out to those two. But look, Nebraska's obviously a fan base that really wants a winner. Man, I would love to be a coach. I really do. I love watching the film. I love the recruiting aspect, the ability to change people's lives and all that. But Matt Rule got a nice buyout from the Panthers and said, "Look,
34 million.
and he's relinquished all that just to get right back into coaching, where there is no fan base in America that is hungrier to win than Nebraska, and nobody is close to that. Nobody, because they've tasted a lot of the fans have tasted that glory. They know what it's like, and unlike South Carolina, where their peak was Spurrier. This is going to be an interesting role for Matt Rule. I like it in that he was very successful at Baylor, but I wasn't in love with it. I'm just not. But it could just be that I just don't believe in the Nebraska job anymore.
I almost thought you said the Gamecocks were looking for a winner and they could taste it, and I was like, print the shirts. Cox can taste victory.
That's just your mind, man. That's
All
your
right.
mind.
Well, that's when we get you out of here.
Huh?
Fickle to Wisconsin. Kind of wild, man. Be honest with you. I mean, some of his players are going out there saying, "Did you see the one player? I forget his name. He goes, I'm in a transfer portal, yo. No edits, no nothing. This says, I'm in a transfer portal, yo."
That was my favorite. I tweeted that out too, Blake. My heart has never fell in love with the tweet more than that.
Me
just
either.
straight
No
to
edit,
the point.
no nothing. Took a picture of himself to that. I'm in a portal.
No, nothing. Honestly,
Fickle, what you think? Wisconsin, what you thinking?
I would have just hired Jim Leonhard. I don't know why they didn't just do that. That would have been the most popular thing to do. But yeah,
Leonhard over if you could get Fickle though.
Maybe. I mean, look, if I think Fickle would have gotten a better job had Cincinnati not been on that legendary run last year.
He could be at LSU. I know for a fact that there were some boosters really pushing for Fickle, and he said he didn't want to leave the Midwest. Lo and behold, here he is.
Yeah, and I just think he wasn't going. What I heard was he just wasn't going because he was legit about to make history, right? If Cincinnati would have beaten Alabama and actually made the final, it would have been historic. I mean, it was already historic that Cincinnati.
UCF would have been a blast of the past if they would have won an Natty.
Oh, I know. And look, I think obviously that the Big Ten's going to be wild with USC and UCLA joining it. I am very skeptical of any defensive coach being hired now, even at the NFL level, more so at the NFL level than at the college level. But I'm fine with Fickle, but I would have just hired Chip Leonhard.
All right, there he is. Your Final Four. You think USC can pull it off? You think it's hard to beat a good team twice. It's hard, like the Gamecocks, to beat a good team twice. I'm taking USC. Just because, not because I won't be surprised if Utah wins. I won't be surprised if Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams chokes. It won't shock me. It's just hard to beat a really good team twice. Okay, your Final Four. Let's get in.
USC is not really that good of a football team, right?
I don't think they are either.
Caleb Williams is lifted a lot of the weight there. He's been phenomenal. I do think the Final Four will be Michigan, Georgia, TCU, and USC. I do think USC finds a way to win it, and lots of credit to TCU. My goodness, just blowing the brakes off of Iowa State in a big pressure spot where the magnifying glass is on you. Everybody's trying to poke holes in you, and you do what you did. Man, I was really shocked by that. And look, I think that's going to be your Final Four. Of course, I wish we were in there. I wish we were playing for it. I wish our discussion was all about us potentially going on this crazy college football playoff run. But I do think the Final Four will be the Horned Frogs, Trojans, and the other two, Georgia and Michigan. So there you go.
So we have a Michigan-Georgia national championship game. I'm all for it.
I think Michigan wants a rematch, baby. I think they'll be better equipped.
And they're built to beat them. They're built to beat them. They're built to beat them. They're built to beat them.
They're better at quarterback.
Best offensive line in the country versus the best defensive line in the country.
That was the case last year, though.
Well,
as someone who reluctantly bet Michigan.
Their offensive line last year wasn't this good.
You think so? You really think so?
They're the best offensive line in the country. I'm convinced.
I like what Rob said. I'd be interested to see TCU hold that trophy. Let's go. Let's go, Horned Frog Nation. What is it?
They're gonna get their cheeks clapped. All right, it's Carter the Power, buddy. I kept you long enough. Go see your fiance, give her a hug. Tell her we all said hello over here.
All right, buddy. Hey, I got a new website, powerhourlsu.com. Check it out.
Excuse me.
Hey, it's not all super AYS network. Go to powerhourlsu.com, and Jared, my man, that's one of my best friends. He already bought a PHL shirt. So there you go, Blake. I appreciate your friendship. We'll be talking all this week. I'll see all y'all in the ATL. I'll see FACP in the ATL. Let's go.
Let's Carter the Power Bryant. Always fantastic. All right, we're out of here like swimwear. Till tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scouts.